Namaste. Welcome, beautiful souls. Welcome back to the Thoth Inspired series. And today we are going to be looking at the 10 of Cups, both in the Rider-Waite deck as well as in the Thoth deck, and a few others that are lingering on my table. And this is the 10 of Cups from the Keeper of the Sacred Bees, which is a deck by Kelly Burton. And I think in reconciling the energy of this card as one of utter beauty and emotional fulfillment and happiness, it's really worthwhile inquiry and self-study to look into the seeming discrepancy and the pain, the fire that is exposed in the 10 of Cups in the Thoth deck, and every variation that happens across um, all tarot decks that we're looking at, contemporary decks that we're looking at these days. So welcome to this series. My name is Sadhana, and I am an intuitive reader and healer. And I'm here a lot during the week talking about cards and decks and other things. I'll be back later this afternoon talking about Reiki. And so welcome to my channel, and thank you for supporting this. And if what I say resonates with you, please be sure to give this video a thumbs up. All right. So where are we? We are in the third decan of Pisces. And in the system of the Golden Dawn, the major arcana card that is associated with Pisces season is the moon. And we have discussed this card in the previous few videos. And if you are new to this series is a members only feature, and you can join and learn more from this series by joining the channel. And if you have any questions about that, please let me know. Okay. The energy of the moon is one that presents deep personal inquiry into self, into challenges, into life, into all that lingers in the shadows of our existence. And we discussed this card at length, actually, in terms of the planet of the moon and all of the decanic minors in a series that I have just started. This might be something that you are interested in. If you are interested in um, esoteric tarot, interested in taking tarot apart piece by piece and looking at the web and the myriad of images and symbols. And I'll be carrying on with the series through the eyes of Venus on April 1st. And over the next few days, I will finish editing the first episode, which is the moon, and that will become available for purchase as well too. Okay, so I hope you can hop on and join this series. So the moon creates a sense of illusion, mystery, magic. There is darkness. Even in the luminosity of the full moon, there's a sense of darkness. When we are looking at any cards that are associated with her energy, and I'll use the pronoun her, and I am aware that there are cultures that see the energy of the moon as active and masculine. And we have in this third decan of Pisces a card, a decan that is ruled by Mars, a planet that is very much in opposition to Piscean energy. And if you have any friends who are who I want to say who identify as Pisces, who resonate as Pisces, you will know how uncomfortable this martial energy is for them. Okay. Now looking at this journey through the darkness, the mystery, the challenges, the shadow of Pisces, also as well the illumination, the trust in psychic energy, the ability to dive into psychic realms and also get lost in it. It's all part of this conclusion of the final sign of the zodiacal year. We are also, this also represents, the final decan of the zodiacal year. This is a mutable, changeable, um, and I want to say flexible as well too, sign. This is the third decan of Pisces. So we're looking at the mutable of the mutable of the mutable. And this is truly can be a difficult place to be hanging out. I feel as well too, there's a sense of anticipation perhaps for the new year, an unwillingness to look at what is going on now. Maybe this is the New Year's Eve party of the zodiacal year that has gone sideways. The key word for this card is satiety. And the card that I was holding up earlier from the Keeper of the Sacred Bees, we can see a rainbow. We can see an abundance, that the swarm is full. The colors are soft and beautiful. There's an energy of happiness, which naturally follows. So if we're looking at this in a series, the Nine of Cups, the keyword for that one is happiness. And, no matter how you, I seem to have lost my Rider-Waite Nine of Cups. No matter how you look at the Nine of Cups, some cards we're going to see a dandelion going to seed, make a wish. Either might be a sparkler or a sense of, whatever you wish will come true. This truly is a beautiful, nines are a beautiful number. They also are connected to lunar energy, but there's a richness and a fulfillment and anything is possible kind of energy. So here we have, and we see the result of that wish in the Ten of Cups. So we must, of course, be careful what we wish for. We need to be very mindful of our intentions and the pace with which we act upon our intentions, that we look at the motivation behind our intentions. And I use this word because it's a very important word in working with lunar energy. When we are in the energy of the dark moon, the new moon, this is when it is optimal to set intentions, to get clear about where it is we want to go, so that as the moon begins to wax, we grow and we work with that energy. But here we are in the energy of the waning part of the moon, and things are a little quieter, and then we get this martial energy, this strong, fiery energy of Mars. And so we need to look at how the energy of Mars is influencing the water here, and what the effect might be, and how we can work with this card in a I feel like in a global, in a big perspective, because for most people who are familiar with the Waite-Smith deck, this sort of an image that I just placed down is the one that is in the back or in the forefront of most people's minds. We see a couple, we see two children, there's a family, a farm, a hometown in the distance. We see a rainbow. Um, we see the 10 cups in the shape of the rainbow. It looks like a card of fulfillment and happiness. And there are lots of, besides the keyword satiety, I know often I refer to, actually it's been ages since I referred to her, the book WTF is Tarot. And I love the way that she describes the 10 as the satiation of the suit. The satiation of the suit. So we are so full. We are so full, we could explode. We have eaten everything that we could possibly consume. We have every appliance that we need. We have all the latest technology. Our bank accounts are topped up. So now what? So now what? And I think that what naturally needs to happen is a shift of energy. And those of you that read tarot and work with tarot, you know the tens are the wheel, the tens are the turning point. And so this is fleeting, this is temporary, this is not something where, this is not a place where we sit down to rest. Yes, we can celebrate. Yes, we can pat ourselves on the back. But this is a fleeting moment because life must go on and things must change, and the wheel will turn. And how the wheel will turn depends on our responses and our reactions and how we're able to manage. It's such an interesting extremity of the expression of the suit of emotions, which personally I feel is a very, very challenging suit. And so as this energy reaches its completion, and if you think about the energy of Mars and the corresponding major arcana that is connected to Mars, which is the Tower, it makes perfect sense, right? That this is for our greater good. Now we are about to experience a great and marvelous and wonderful change. Things can't stay as they are. Um, as I was playing out cards for today, thinking about the connection also between the Four of Cups and this particular card, particularly in the Rider-Waite. I mean, we do see it in the Thoth deck as well too, but it's just too much. Here we are at this place of the Three of Cups where, you know, we've had some positive experience where we're growing, we're learning, but we just can't take any more. We can't take any more. So in the Four of Cups, the response is no, thank you. Or sometimes I think it's just ignored, right? I don't believe in this card that the figure, no matter how it's drawn, doesn't know that that offering is there. They know that there is always more. And I think there's a danger in that. There's a danger in knowing that there is always more out there. And we need to be careful what we're going to do with more and how we're going to um, navigate and negotiate the more and the more and the more and the more. There's some interesting, I should have pulled out all the aces because I think they're very important to this discussion. So I'm just going to do that right now while I'm talking. When we're working with decks that are inspired by Golden Dawn, it is, here's the wheel card in case you're not familiar with the tarot. It's important to understand the underlying structure of the deck and the flow of the energy of the deck. So you would, if you were new to tarot, you may think that we go from 10 of cups to Page of Cups or Princess of Cups. You might, I don't know what you would assume is the next card, but the way that we cycle through the tarot, I'm going to get a lot of different cards on the table here, is based on the energy of the Tetragrammaton. So we have the energy of wands, and I really should be placing this from right to left, but we'll just go left to right right now. Wands, cups, swords, and pentacles. And everything in the tarot, whether you're looking at a Waite-Smith deck or a Thoth or one of the decks inspired by them, is based on this. And hopefully, if it is an inspired deck, the creator is aware of this underlying energy and the flow and why we go from wands to cups to swords to pentacles. Okay, and this is a very fundamental part of understanding the tarot. And so where we cycle from in the 10 of cups is to the Ace of Swords. And we reach this place in the Ten of Cups. Let's get a prettier one on the table. We reach this place in the Ten of Cups where we have endured the emotions are um it's like we're drenched. We are we are we are so wet we can't get any wetter. And every emotion under the sun has been experienced. And so when we step into the suit of swords and ask ourselves, why is there so much water in the suit of swords? Why is the suit of swords so challenging? It's because we have flowed through this journey of the water. And here we are now seeking some clarity, direction, focus. You know what it's like when there's too much emotion, right? We need discernment. We need someone. We need an advisor, an objective person to help us, steer our way through. And it might not be, we probably don't need the King of Swords stepping in right now. It might be nice to have somebody with a little bit of compassion, but the next step is getting clear. So we have these deep emotional, traumatic experiences in every shade, right? From the happiest of the happiest to the low of the lows. Then we can get clear and grow and go forward. And so this this energy here is one of acknowledging that yes, we absolutely must go forward and understand that the wheel will turn. We also in this card see the temporality, the temporariness of the rainbow. Well, the rainbow is a beautiful symbol of hope and beauty. It also is an illusion, right? It is fleeting. It is this gorgeous representation of fire and water, sun and rain that comes together, creates this beautiful illumination, but we know that it will disappear. Hello, Lydia, and welcome. So I think this is one cue in the Waite-Smith that this is turning, this is temporary. And I have not spent a lot of time talking about stage cards in the Waite-Smith because I think this is something that can be discussed. There's lots of videos about the stage cards, but I think we need to remember. Um, and it's interesting because I have been reading more and more about Pamela Coleman Smith's life. Very curious about the new edition. Um, so the book that was published, I can't remember, 8 years ago, I believe it was called The Fool and the Magician by Susan Wands, is being reprinted. And it is one book that I'm very curious about reading and looking at the person of Pamela Coleman Smith a little more deeply. I have read Stuart Kaplan's book, most of it, bits and pieces, and lots of different blogs. Mary Greer's blogs are excellent, but understanding or discerning whether the stage was just the way of life for Pamela Coleman Smith, or whether it was painted as a metaphor itself. And what we're actually looking at in the Ten of Cups is a backdrop. And we are backstage, and we're seeing two people who are at the end of the show with their arms raised. And here we are at the happy ending. So there's so many different ways we can view this. And it is the only deck in my awareness where we do see stage cards, right? Only one. Hi, Laura, welcome. This is not an unfamiliar sort of color and things like that. So there are, is there a sense of a impending danger? Is this a swarm that's gone wild? And yes, it represents abundance, but we're hoping that that swarm is heading back to the hive and not towards us. Just a thought, just a thought. Okay. Now, um, I have a few other notes and thoughts I would like to share with you. We will be talking about the Queen of Wands next week, but I think it's also important to reflect upon her in this decan of Pisces, especially in Thoth. Well, maybe it really in any deck, we are seeing this Mars energy in this card. This is the Keeper of the Sacred Bee by Kelly Burton, if that's the deck you're asking about. Um, sorry, where was I going? Oh, yes, Queen of Wands. There's a few different ways to look at the court cards and how they are woven in astrologically. And in the Golden Dawn, the court cards begin in the third decan of the previous sign. So each of the court cards has 30 degrees of astrology, one 10 degrees in one sign and 20 degrees in another. And the Queen of Wands is the first two decans of Aries. So the Queen of Wands leads us into spring in the Northern Hemisphere with the fire of Aries and the Emperor and again Mars, right? But she also has 10 degrees of Pisces. And so here she is at the end of moon season. Let's not forget that we are still very much in moon this season. And think about how you read this card, this fiery, gregarious, charismatic, uh, I want to say funny, creative, spontaneous, dynamic human. How she responds. If she walked into a Piscean gathering, how uncomfortable she would be. She may be a breath of fresh air, but she is not going to be comfortable there at all. It's just not her cup of tea, so to speak. Um, so she struggles here. And this to me is one of the most interesting. Um, I am going to try to endeavor to reconcile all of this in the next tarot course that I'm teaching. That's not the right one. This one starts next Monday. And the court cards are they're such a mystery. They're such a mystery. And there are so many, many interpretations about how and where and what energy each of the chords represent. Are they cardinal? Are they fixed? Are they mutable? Do the kings lead? Are the kings equivalent to the knights? Are the knights equivalent to the princes? Um, it's really, really challenging. Are the kings air or are the kings fire? We know that the Thoth princes, the Thoth knights are fire because that has been clearly defined. But this is such a muddy area, and I really want to build confidence with each and every one of you as a reader over the duration of this course. But the queens aren't too difficult. It seems pretty clear that, and not in every system, but in most systems, they are cardinal. So they lead, they open the season. The queens open the spring season. The Queen of Cups is the season opener for summer. The Queen of Airs opens up fall. So that tends to be the pattern. But the really interesting part is what about that a couple of weeks before the season happens, and she's in the mud. She's in the mud of Pisces. And you can also think of, so we're in this lunar season, this big receptacle, this huge, enormous cauldron of water, which is Pisces season. And by the time we get into the third decan of Pisces, it is so full, it is so saturated, it is so heavy. Every emotion is sitting there, and the cup is overflowing. There's so much cool stuff on these cards. um, I'm going to check on number 5 in a second. So look, I think it's important if she were to show up in a very watery reading. To I don't see her so much as bringing a spark of energy to the feelings as I see, wow, she's really uncomfortable. And maybe why? Why is she so uncomfortable in in the emotional state? Now this is fascinating because of course all of the queens carry that energy of water within them. They are all associated with the element of water. So it's a great, great conversation to or reflection to sit with. All right, so last thing today, I think. Um, we could talk about the sexual energy because that is also really interesting. If we look at um, the energy of the tower, oh, there's so many good things here. Okay, so let me bear with me for a couple more minutes. So if you think of the energy of the tower, this phallic symbol that is emerging and exploding is very much represented in the Ten of Cups. So the fire, the masculine energy, the active energy sticks itself uh, firmly into the cauldron of the water. And so we have this explosion. And I want to read you there's a couple of expressions. And this has to do, and I was talking a little bit about excess, right? You have everything that you need. So we chase excess, we chase all of our wants, we chase all of our wishes. And this feels very much like the energy of the devil as well, too, right? This is, and I'm hoping that I can bring this full circle. There is the Thoth card. I'm hoping I can bring this full circle when we get into Leo season because I really think there is a correspondence here as well too with the Lust card, which comes in at number 11 in the Thoth deck, or the Strength card in the Wheat Smith deck. There's something about this response to the element of fire that is so very, very important. And I think it was Susan Chang. She said, uh, watch the lust of hope, or something like that. So if we're chasing after, the more we chase after something, did I write it down? The more you chase after it, the more you want it, the greater the addiction becomes. And then um, all of a sudden we don't want it anymore. And I think that's why I was thinking that this card has so much in common with what's going on here. Okay, one sip of a warm drink, and then my final. The water that is emanating from the cups in the Ten of Cups in the Thoth deck. So we have in the top, it's very interesting to look at this And if you have a Marseille deck, I really encourage you to look at the way the plants or the ribbons are woven into the cups in the Ten of Cups. Because I think this says a lot about the energy of this card and the way that the creator is speaking to this. We have this energy up at the top, which is separated. We cannot take away from the supernals at the top of the tree of life. They are in a very different place. They are eternal, they are illusory. Um, and as the water flows down into the rest of the tree, it seems like this is its own world. And here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And here we have, there's more here. So this is 6 at the center. But what I'm talking about is this one up here. There are 5 streams flowing down from the top cup. And as you know, in the tarot, no matter what deck you're looking at, the 5s are the cards that represent change, chaos. They are a response to the breaking out of the 4s. They are cards of chaos. They are cards of potential destruction, conflict, right? They are tremendously challenging. And so in pictorially, we are looking at that conflict here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Those 5 streams. And the five on the tree of life is the planet Mars. So that fits perfectly well. What I'm looking at now, which I wasn't really thinking of before I came on here, out of the, this is interesting. Oh, this is beautiful. Okay, this is beautiful. So the center cup, which is the center of the tree of life, and out of that cup, perhaps, out of that cup flow 6 streams. So out of the 6 cup flows 6 streams, which is hope, beauty, peace, contentment. So the path to contentment is about moving on. The path to contentment is flowing beyond, flowing down, flowing into the next world, into the next stage of life, the next stage on the path, which I suggested is flowing us into the suit of swords. I did have the suit of swords on the table here. I don't know where it's gone, but flowing into the ace of swords. So that kind of makes sense. And I just want to reiterate that yes, yes, this card can be about contentment and happiness and peace and satisfaction and comfort. And I think it's important to understand that uh, it is a 10. So the wheel is turning. And if we're not chasing results, then we can enjoy this moment. But as soon as we start chasing results, that's when things are going to get really, really uncomfortable. What is your ranking of the court elementals? I did touch on this earlier, Laura, and so if I'm working with a deck that is Golden Dawn based, then I'm working with Wands, Cups, Swords, Pentacles. I'm going to work with the energy of the Tetragrammaton as it is built into the Golden Dawn. And for the most part, I will be looking for this in all tarot decks unless the creator speaks to it differently in their guidebook. And one that comes to mind is Emily Carding. She does this well, and she talks about it in Tarot of the She. I'm not sure that she addresses it. Actually, she does because I just did a workshop with her, and she talks about why the element of air is first. She talks about the east and the rising sun and how air is connected with the direction of the east. So as long as the creator has a um, justification, a solid reason for why they're switching up that energy, and then I will read that deck in that way. But for the most part, I think that if I'm working with the Golden Dawn structure deck, I'll be working with the underlying energy of the Wands, Cups, Swords, Pentacles. And so in that case, yes, Page is Earth. Page and Princess are Earth. Um, and then that will change if I'm working with a deck that is built differently. Mhm. So one of the pieces of advice that I always give to students is um, to take your time to read through and understand where the deck creator is coming from. And yes, there is an abundance of decks out there where things haven't been switched up without discussion by the creator. And I don't know if this is a lack of awareness or they just don't want to give everything away. And I think both of those things are true at the same time. Okay. And this particular topic, Laura, is just full of it's a huge, huge topic. And of course, I understand the justification for the pages of it Keter with ether. I understand that completely as well too. So yeah, anyway, thank you. Thank you very much for joining me here today. And next week, I will be back with the cards, introducing the cards for Aries season. And if you would like to join this series, there's lots of information on my channel. And this is one of the series that is a members only feature, as well as an abundance of other stuff. So go to my channel page and you can have a little look around at all the goodies that are there. Take good care. Have a lovely afternoon. Namaste.